Hello, this is Gary at Jack Raven Bushcraft. Thank you for watching our video. This week I'm going to carve a spreader. Often on our overnight courses, if we have a little bit of time of an evening and there's sufficient light, then we'll sit down and do a little bit of carving because it's a good thing to do. It's fun, and it's also working on developing knife skills, which is always a useful way to spend some time. So spreader, very simple. I've got just a length of hazel here, about 20 centimeters long. I'm using hazel just because that was to hand. It could be that I was going to use sycamore, ash, birch, willow, sweet chestnut, anything that's going to give me a long, straight stick, basically. This one's about the size of a 10 pence, so diameter-wise, about that kind of thickness. So I'm sat down to carve here, which means I need to be leaning forward. So I need to have my elbows on my knees. The reason for that, we've got femoral artery running down here. I need to avoid getting a knife near my femoral artery at all costs. So I'm just holding on to my stick in my left hand, got my knife in my dominant right hand, and I've got the knife on the piece of wood there, more or less at a right angle. I've got my left thumb on the back of the knife, so I'm actually going to push with my left thumb. So I'm going to push the knife in like that, and then push it all the way along my stick, like so. And then I'm going to repeat that. So I'm just pushing my knife along the length of wood. So each cut is in the same place. And what I'm looking to do is just basically take this down to make it considerably thinner. Now, this part is relatively straightforward, this initial cut. There is some strength required after that, a deal of strength. And so if you're struggling to push with your thumb here, and let's face it, most people aren't working out their thumb muscles, and so they are likely to be not as strong as you might wish. So if that is proving to be a little tricky, what we can do is swap these things around, and then I can pull back like so. So at the same time, I'm scooping the knife like this and also pushing with my left thumb. So I get this kind of movement going on like that. And as I say, I can just push that along now with my left thumb. But again, if that's proving a little difficult, I can bring my knife around in my left hand, bring that around my knee, and then just pull back on the stick and take off a nice piece of wood. Now I'm aiming for here, the pith running down the center, so I want to stop just before I get to that point. So I've done the same on the other side now. So we've got these kind of tapers running down on either side there. So it is more of a curve rather than being a wedge shape on it. So this will work perfectly well. But again, just to work on those knife skills, what I'm going to do is a couple of little features, if you like. So I'm going to put a couple of little curves in here, one on either side. So what I'm going to do is push very gently with my left thumb, and I do have to be gentle to make sure that I don't just cut off this whole length. So I just push gently like that, then turn the stick around, and then I'm going to push gently again from the opposite direction so that my cuts meet up like that. So it's a case of just pushing very gently from one side and then turning it around and going from the other side, so that what we end up with is this little curve shape. Now I'm just going to do that on the other side to exactly the same. So it's a little push, turn it, same thing from the other side. So it's just repeating that process. But it's a nice one just to practice, get those sort of more delicate cuts. And you can also aim for a degree of symmetry there, if you so wish. So we end up with that kind of shape. Next thing I'm going to do is round off the end of my spreader. So to do that, again, back to this thumb push. So I use this one all the time. So I just flip a little piece off there, and I go backwards a bit from that and flip a piece off, forwards from it, backwards, forward. So I'm just sort of taking off tiny little bits here, like so, and same on the other side. So flip off the corner with a thumb push, back a bit, forwards a bit, backwards a bit, forwards a bit. So we end up with something that's more or less round-ish, like so. Thin that out a little bit more. What I'm going to do now is just round off the end of my spreader. So I'm going to go down about 1 centimetre and thumb push, turn the stick. So every time I'm making a cut, I am turning the stick. So I've gone all the way around. Now I'm going to go about 0.5 centimetre from the top, do the same thing. So each time I cut, turn the stick, and then I'm going to go a couple of millimetres from the top and just keep repeating that. So now what I've got is something that is more or less rounded off on the end here. So here's our completed spreader. It is a simple carving project, and it doesn't involve many different knife cuts, so it's primarily a thumb push. But what it does is allow us to develop those knife skills, and that is always going to be a good thing to do. Once you've done a couple of these, you can bash them out in a couple of minutes flat. So it is a nice little project. So hopefully that is something that is useful to you, something that you could take with you on your own bushcraft journey. I will get some more content out at some point next week. Make sure you don't miss out on that by either subscribing to our blog or our YouTube channel, either of which are Jack Raven Bushcraft. In the meantime, take care, stay safe.